The afternoon sun began its slow descent over the quiet neighborhood, casting long, amber shadows across the worn wooden porch of the Connor household. Inside, the usual domestic symphony was in full swing, though today it was punctuated by a sharp, desperate cry from the hallway. Harris, a 14-year-old with spiky brown hair and a sharp wit that often outpaced her years, marched into the living room with an expression of pure disbelief. She had just completed a frantic search of every cabinet and closet in the house, and the results were grim. "Oh, I have just gone through the entire house," Harris declared, her voice rising in a mix of frustration and dramatic flair. "You forgot to buy toilet paper. Seriously, what kind of mother are you?" "Well, look, I just got home from the house of Ben, and I am greeted by a paperless wasteland." Her grandmother, Nana, looked up from her seat by the window, a dry and knowing smile playing on her lips. She had seen decades of such minor household crises and remained entirely unfazed. "Use the phone book like I used to," she suggested calmly, her voice reflecting the wisdom of a simpler, albeit rougher, era. Harris let out a long and exaggerated sigh, adjusting her square-rimmed glasses. "We do not have phone books anymore, Nana. It is not the 1800s. We are in a digital age, and yet we are failing at basic hygiene." Just then, Leo, the young inventor with messy hair and a utility vest filled with gadgets, wandered into the room looking equally distressed. "Does anyone realize we are out of toilet paper? I cannot go at school. There are no doors on the stalls. This is a significant problem for a person of my standing and privacy requirements." Darlene, their mother, looked up from her work at the kitchen table, rubbing her temples as if to ward off a looming headache. "If you cannot wait, can you not just use a tissue or a napkin?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "No," Harris snapped back quickly, "because we use toilet paper for both of those things. This place is difficult to live in right now. You really need to get your life together, Mother. It is a fundamental household necessity." Darlene stood up, her eyes narrowing slightly, but her tone remaining weary rather than truly angry. "Whoa. I did not take you to a doctor for 7 years, and you are losing your mind over toilet paper? What is your problem?" "You are my problem," Harris retorted, though her bite was softened by the underlying bond they shared. "Hurry home next time. I miss you when you are gone for too long." Nana watched the exchange with a nostalgic glint in her eyes. "I was so happy when you had children because I knew we would be here one day," she told Darlene. "You know what? I do not get it. I mean, Harris and I fight. But right now she is being so angry and sarcastic." Darlene leaned against the counter, exhaling slowly. "I mean, that personality trait does not run in our family at all," she said with thick irony. "Could it be anything else?" Nana stood up to move toward the kitchen, pausing only to offer a final piece of advice. "You know we are out of toilet paper. Walk away, Darlene. Just walk away before the situation escalates further." The scene shifted to the sterile and brightly lit hallways of the local hospital where the newest member of the family, little Beverly Rose, was being cared for in the neonatal intensive care unit. Jackie, ever the energetic and slightly overbearing aunt, was pacing near the nurse's station. She checked her watch with a frown of disapproval. "I am assuming you are Joanna," Jackie said to a nurse passing by, although she was supposed to be here at 10. "And it is 10:05. So it is hard to say. We need to tighten up the schedule here. Precision is key for the health and development of the baby." Dan, the family patriarch with a steady hand and a heart of gold, walked toward her carrying a small bag of essentials. "Hey," he said warmly, his presence a stabilizing force in the sterile room. "Hey. Oh. Hey. Hello," Jackie replied, her energy still vibrating at a high frequency that seemed to hum against the hospital walls. "I brought you a change of clothes," Dan said, offering the bag. "How are you feeling? You look like you have been through a storm and came out the other side." Jackie took the bag with a grimace. It is hard to look glamorous when your shower is a bathroom sink and your deodorant is hand sanitizer. she admitted. Becky, the mother of the newborn, sat nearby in a plastic chair. Her face pale, but her eyes full of love for her child. Dan turned to her with a soft expression. Becky, go home and get some sleep. We will stay with the baby. All right. You need to recover your strength. I will leave after the night nurse takes over. Becky promised, her voice barely a whisper. I like her. She is gentle and knows exactly what she is doing. I will take the first shift, Jackie announced, taking command of the situation as she usually did. Great. Dan agreed. Then when I get here, I will tell you what you did wrong. I will fix it. And I will make a training manual so it never happens again. He paused, turning back to Jackie. Hey, Jackie, could you go down to the cafeteria and get me a grilled cheese sandwich? I am starved. How about we change the grilled cheese to a spinach salad? Jackie suggested instantly. It has lots of iron. And some orange juice will help you absorb the iron. Nutrition is the foundation of a healthy life. Dan. Sure, Dan said with a wink. I will take the grilled cheese and a cola to help me absorb the cheese. Thank you. You are an angel in nursing scrubs. Once Jackie was out of earshot, Becky leaned toward her father. Get her out of here, she whispered with a tired smile. This morning, she was walking around the incubator, snapping her fingers to see if the baby has directional hearing. Dan smiled gently, patting his daughter on the shoulder. All right, we just have to be delicate with her. Her life has been complicated lately, and she is looking for some kind of purpose for herself through our lives. He checked his watch. I would take the shift of Jackie, but I have a poker game tonight. Oh, it sounded so selfish as soon as I said it out loud. Oh, it did not. Grandpa. Kira, the bold adventurer with her high ponytail and red bandana, said as she entered the room. You work hard. You deserve to play poker with your friends. Everyone needs a little recreation. Dan chuckled, feeling the warmth of his granddaughter's support. They do not care what you want. He joked. This life is like a show filmed in front of a live studio audience. Check. Please. Later that evening, Dan found himself at a local bar. The familiar scent of wood and hops providing a brief respite from the hospital stress. Louise, a sharp-witted woman who had known the family for years, was behind the counter. You know, Louise, a patron called out from the corner. I have been undressing you with my eyes for an hour. Why do you not come back to my place? We can see if I am right about what is underneath. Louise did not even look up from the glass she was cleaning. Hey, Louise, Dan said, taking a seat at the bar. Hey, Dan, she replied. What do you have for me today? Not another cake. In case of what you gave me last time. Well, I finally got rid of those stubborn bastards. Dan laughed, referring to a recent minor health issue. I still use that little comb for my eyebrows. It works wonders. Louise leaned on the counter, her eyes twinkling with amusement. You know, you could have pretended you were my boyfriend. And not that I have some sort of infestation. From the looks of that guy, I did not even think that would be a deal breaker. Well, maybe next time you will try the boyfriend thing. Dan said, you get a clean bill of health, and we will talk about it. So, what is the update with Becky and little Beth? We are going to start taking turns watching her. Dan explained. Tonight is my turn. Oh, man, Louise said, her voice softening. Sitting in that neonatal unit all night. That is rough. I did it for a cousin once. It just breaks your heart to see them so tiny and fragile. Well, a free beer would certainly help me deal with it. Dan hinted with a hopeful grin. Lucky for you. It is free me grandpa night. Louise said, sliding a cold glass across the bar. You know, let me come with you. You are going to need company. It is just going to be family. Dan said, hesitating. I could not ask you to do that. You could, Louise countered. But I guess you are not. Some other time. Then. Oh, I overstepped. Dan said quickly. I was trying to support you in a difficult time, and that kind of thing should not go unpunished. I have not had a real conversation in a bar for a long time. I do not like how I am acting. Just as Dan was finishing his drink, Becky walked in, looking more frazzled than before. Ready for my shift, she said. Pack up your chair and go home. Guess what? The baby is coming home this Friday. Oh, that is fantastic, Dan exclaimed, his face lighting up with genuine joy. Right? I mean, that is great, Becky said. But her expression told a different story. Your face is not saying it is great, Dan observed with a father's intuition. My face just read this letter from assistance for needy families, Becky admitted, pulling a crumpled paper from her pocket. I was approved, and then they said I made too much because of my tips at the restaurant called Casita Bonita. I failed at being poor. And look at this list of special preemie stuff I need. Oh, you do not need all that stuff, Dan tried to reassure her. A scale? You can just take the baby to the grocery store and weigh her in the produce department. Diaper on. Of course. I cannot even afford the basic stuff, Becky cried out. Diapers are like $25 a box. I'm just going to have to hold the baby over the box. Becky, go home, Dan said firmly. We will figure this out tomorrow. I am going to figure this out tonight, Becky insisted. I am going now. Honey. She turned toward the nursery window as she walked away. I am so proud of you for all the breathing and the growing. She loves me. So do not talk badly about me. Back at the house, the tension between Darlene and Harris had not dissipated. Darlene was trying to maintain a sense of normalcy as she spoke to the baby, who was temporarily resting in a portable crib. Hey. So, how was your day? She asked softly. Okay. Now me. Your cousin Harris is being a little monster. Normally I can handle it. But I am stressed out of my mind right now because I am sleeping with two guys. Do not give me that look. Girl. Jackie walked into the room, watching the interaction with a mix of amusement and concern. Oh, you like your Annie, do you not? She said to the baby. I remember when Harris used to hold my finger like that. Okay, you can let go now. Wow. You are pretty strong for somebody with no bones in your body. Turning to Dan, who had just returned, Jackie added. Oh, by the way, Dad, if and Marie calls, this time I am here. For some reason, the lies led to fights. Oh, that is because your lies are terrible, Darlene chimed in. You know where I am right now? Jackie rehearsed. At the emergency room with a friend. Spotty signaling. I cannot really talk right now because at this very moment I am pressing my hand against his carotid artery to prevent him from bleeding out. No dispute. What can she say to that? Hey. Bingo. Darlene said with a smirk. Why does she not ask who is the friend? Well, now that you asked, I am going to say it is you. Jackie decided. Hey. I have a cheat sheet here. Got everything you need to know. Road rage encounter. Hunting knife wound. Light aircraft crashes on highway. It is all here. Well, a lot of work to stay in a bad marriage. Dan noted. My hat is off to you for the effort. I will take her off your hands. Dan said, referring to the baby. You got a picture? Yeah. I got one. Jackie said, handing him a photo. Private investigator took it. Oh. There she is. Dan said, examining the image. And that is my brother coming out of the shower. He is a younger and better-looking version of you. You get it, right? I can see both sides of it. I got your text message. Dan, Darlene said, pulling him aside. What is going on? I have to get over to the hospital. Dan said, I am out of time. I just need to talk for a minute. Jackie interrupted. Let us go in the living room. Listen, I know you were looking forward to seeing the baby tonight. But I was hoping I could take your shift so I could bond with the baby. No can do. Dan said. I spent all day developing a list of Chinese phrases for the nurses to use on the baby. She is just lying there. So she might as well learn something. You could say that about any member of our family. Darlene muttered. Truth is, Becky does not want you there. Dan told Jackie gently. You are driving everybody crazy. Jackie looked devastated. That is very disappointing. She whispered. What? Dan asked. I just said it was very disappointing in Mandarin. Jackie explained. Well, here is the upside. Dan offered. You have always wanted to play in a poker game. Tonight is the night. You would be doing me a huge favor. Well, if Becky does not want me around, I might as well play poker. Jackie conceded. I have to tell you, I am feeling defeated and useless and just beaten to hell and hopeless and lonely. And you will fit right in with the rest of the guys. Here is your check. I will be right back. At the restaurant where Becky worked, she was pushing herself beyond her physical limits. She leaned against a bucket behind the bar, her face flushed with exhaustion. Dan walked in and immediately frowned. Becky, you just had a baby, he said. You are not supposed to be working for another 2 weeks. Do not worry, Becky said, trying to stand up straight. I am wearing an adult diaper for leakage down here, and I have nursing pads for leakage up here. And if I just sit every couple of minutes, the dizziness goes away. You should not be here. Dan insisted. No, I should not. Becky agreed. But I have a kid coming home any day now. And that means rent, bills, and baby supplies. She turned to a couple at a nearby table. Excuse me. I am sorry. I cannot quite read what this says. It says, I am Becky. The customer read. I just had a 4-pound baby. The father, Emilio, a poor busboy, was deported to Mexico. But leave whatever you feel is appropriate. $2 lousy. Becky cried out, looking at the small tip. I owe the hospital hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I am totally on my own. Let me have your wallet. It is all of you. Becky, stop, Dan said, grabbing her hands to calm her down. Fine, Becky said, slumping back onto her bucket. Well, thank you, Becky. Wonderful. You know, we are kind of new to the dinner theater thing. Let us know how we are doing. Back at the house, Darlene found Harris sitting on the porch. Good time to talk? She asked. Not really. But whatever. Harris replied. Okay, Darlene said, sitting beside her. So, today, I was at the hospital, and little Beverly Rose grabbed my finger, and she squeezed it. And it made me remember how you always used to hold my hand, and how close we were. And now you are, you know, insane. So, if there is something that you want to tell me that is bothering you, I would love to hear it. Sure, Harris said, her voice trembling slightly. Here is what is bothering me. I know that you are having sex with Dad and Ben. And you are lying about it to both of them. Darlene was stunned. Wow. How did you find out? I saw Dad coming out of your bedroom in the middle of the night, Harris said, her eyes filling with tears of disappointment. Look, I am really sorry, Darlene began. I do not want to hear it. Harris interrupted. You are a liar. And I have no reason to believe anything you say ever again. You have to give me a chance to explain. Darlene pleaded. Harris pointed to Darlene's phone as it buzzed. You got a text. This is more important. But it might be from Ben or Dad or someone you met driving back and forth between Ben and Dad. Well, now you are just giving me too much credit, Darlene said, looking at the message. Damn it. It is Grandpa. Becky is losing her cool at the restaurant. Look, I have to go. But when I get back, please just give me a chance to tell you what is going on. It is really complicated. No, it is not, Harris said firmly. Stop hurting my dad, or I am going to call him and tell him what is going on. You know, it is very sweet that you are looking out for him, Darlene said. But just remember one thing. He abandoned you. I am just saying. Darlene rushed to the restaurant to find Dan already there. Where's Becky? She asked. Oh, she is back here, Dan said, gesturing to the back room. She is not in a good place. Hey, Dan said to Becky. Look at you sitting on a bucket behind a bar. I see it all so clearly now. Even if I work, every dime will go to child care. Becky sobbed. So I have decided to let the hospital keep little Bev. They have a cafeteria, so she will eat good. And I can watch her from afar in the kids' play area. Yeah, I have seen that in the movies. Well, clearly I rushed down here for nothing. Dan said softly. You know what? You are going to come home. You are going to live rent-free where people can help you. But if I move back in, I am just admitting I could not make it on my own. Becky argued. And I am just a big loser. That is what I did, Darlene said, stepping forward from the shadows. It is very free. Leo walked in with Gizmo, the large dog with earthy brown fur. The dog rested his head on Becky's lap. Hey, bud. How was work? Dan asked Leo. I am not afraid of you, Leo said to a surly customer who was staring at his dog. Everything is going to be okay, Dan promised. Becky is going to come home and live with us for a while. Good. That starts now, Darlene said. Grab her coat and take her back to the house. Hey, I am not totally giving up my independence here, Becky said, standing up with effort. I will grab my own coat. Let me help you to the car, Dan said. And then I will come back in here real quick and grab some toilet paper. Thank you so much for calling. Well, Becky needed help. The manager said. I am not family, but I care about her. Look, I got an idea, Dan said to Becky as they walked out. I am heading back to the hospital. And, yeah, it is kind of depressing. All those babies hooked up to tubes, barely clinging to life. So, hey, you want to come? At the hospital, Dan leaned over the small plastic bed. Hey, Bev, is that drool on your chin I see? Lucky for you. I have a handkerchief. Tada. Thanks for covering for me. Son, he said to Leo. No problem, Leo said. I think she really likes me. Jackie leaned in. That is not the baby of Becky, she whispered. That is. Oh, man, Dan said, moving to the right incubator. Oh, Dan. She is beautiful, Jackie breathed. Yep, she gets that from me, Dan said with pride. Good news. Buddy, you are coming to live at the house of Grandpa for a while. It is not much. Actually, it would need a major remodel for it to be not much. Hey, the fact that you have a house for your struggling daughter and her baby and your other struggling daughter and her 2 kids proves you are a good provider, Jackie noted. Not much of a motivator, Dan replied. As they left, Louise found Dan in the parking lot. You know, Ross, it is okay, she said. I am so sorry. It is just I feel so comfortable with you. You do not have to apologize for feeling comfortable with me, Dan said. Listen, I have not kept it a secret how hard this is for me. But you have to know how much I like you and I want to spend time with you. What do you say we start hanging out on a regular basis and I will throw in dinner once a week? Like dates? Louise asked. Like hanging out and having dinner once a week. Dan clarified. Slow down, cowboy, Louise teased. It is moving a little fast for me. But I can work with that. Oh, you are only human, Dan said. I know you want some of this. I can be patient. But when I come for it, I do not want some of it. I want all of it. You do not have that kind of time. Louise laughed. Back at the house, Darlene found Harris in her room. I brought you a peace offering, she said, handing her a bag of snacks. Go ahead. Browse all your social media all week. Look, I did not plan any of this. Well, you have got to decide, Harris said. It is not fair to Dad. Hey, I love your father and the last thing I want to do is hurt him, but this is a hard decision, Darlene admitted. It affects all of us. I have got to figure out who is going to make us happy and who is going to keep us in toilet paper. So what am I supposed to do? Harris asked. Just keep this giant secret while you figure it out? That would be so cool of you. Darlene said. I promise I am going to take care of this as quickly as I can. Okay. Harris sighed. I believe you for now. Would you hold my finger? Darlene asked with a smile. No. Harris said. You are being weird. The front door opened and voices filled the house. The baby is home. Leo and Kira shouted. Hey! Hey! The family cheered as Becky walked in with the bundle. Well, that is a relief. Harris said. I am still the cutest one. She is too small. Kira said, looking at her new cousin. You said I was getting a new cousin to play with. She is no good to me like this.